Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming a very beautiful horror host. You know her as Ivonna Cadaver, the host of Macabre Theater, and this has been a long time coming. We've been trying to plan a day for us to do this podcast together for a while now, and she's coming on the show today. Going to talk about all things horror, talk about how she got into it, about her acting career, all that stuff. We're going to be talking about everything about Ivonna Cadaver getting into horror. It's going to be pretty good. She's really sweet and a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a really killer interview, I think. So, here is my new interview with Ivonna Cadaver.
Hey.
Hey, Dat. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm good, sweetness. I just tried to call you.
Well, I called you first.
Well, that works. That's not a problem. How are you?
I'm great. We're finally doing this shit.
Yes, we are. You know, it's been one of those years, this past year, but it's a new year, so, New year, new scares, and new horror. So there you go.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time today, hun.
Of course.
So, going back to the beginning, did you fall in love with horror early on?
Yeah, I actually did fall in love with horror early on. I mean, I've always loved horror, and often I'll talk to people about it, and I think it just kind of gives us an outlet to, it's like Halloween. It gives us an outlet to be somebody else, and I think that's why people love it. I mean, I'm Ivonna Cadaver, so I'm always different, but I think it gives people an ability to kind of be somebody else, and the horror society, the horror community, they're such loyal fans. So that's amazing to me.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the first horror movie you ever saw?
Well, I do know that I think, I was just at NAMM, 2019 at NAMM, and a lot of the guys that I spoke to, there were some great, there were some great movies. I mean, some of the guys like Phantasm, and some of the guys like Jaws, and some of the guys like The Exorcist, and, maybe The Exorcist was one of the first ones that I saw that was kind of crazy, that was, so scary, with Linda, and one of my favorite horror movies is The Last House on the Left, and it just gives you that, it's such a raw feeling, I'm kind of more like a psychological, intellectual horror fan, like Dario Argento's stuff. I love the Palace of Color, and I love the Italian horror films. But I think The Last House on the Left was an amazing film. But then on the same token, like I've always said, I love This Is the End with Falco, So I'm a person that likes comedy, and I like horror, but I like everything in its true essence, and I like things to kind of be organic.
Mm-hmm. So Last House on the Left was your first horror movie?
I would say that my first horror movie, I don't know, there's so many of them, but The Exorcist really left a really good impression.
Yeah. The first horror movie I ever saw was The Shining. I was like maybe a year, maybe 2 years old. My parents just scared the shit out of me with that movie. Yeah,
I was just, like I told you, I was just at NAMM, and a lot of these guys, a lot of the musicians and rock stars, they actually have their favorite, horror icons tattooed on them. So The Shining, Jack was one of them. And I actually have a picture right here in my boudoir with Jack from The Shining. So, so there you go.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have a top 10 favorite horror movie of all time list?
Do I have a top 10 horror movie? I like Phantasm. I like Jaws. I like The Last House on the Left. I like This Is the End because I think it's just funny, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm a big Hammer fan, and I'm a big Argento fan. But you know, there's like a top 10 list. There's just so many. There's so many amazing movies. So it's a hard thing to kind of pinpoint down, you know. But I would say. I would say Jaws was amazing. I would say, you know, The Last House on the Left, probably my number one. And I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4. What else? The Changeling.
I love that.
And what else? What else do I love? Suspiria. And John Landis's movies are always amazing, and he's probably one of the best interviews I've ever interviewed. I mean, I love all the interviews I've ever done, but John Landis is just, you know, gregarious and fantastic and a lot of fun to interview. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I have a top 10. I would say that I'm Ivonna Cadaver. They kind of each bring their own unique flavor. So I like them all. You know, not all, but I like a lot of them for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's my dream someday to interview John Landis. He's
amazing.
Yes, he's the best. My top 10, like Dawn of the Dead, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, Creepshow, Chopping Mall, 1931 Dracula. What else? Oh, there's so many that I like too.
There's so many. You know, it's like Universal Studios. You know, they're like the makers of the monsters, and so. Like, you know, if somebody were asking my favorite, I mean, you know, there's Frankenstein and everything, but probably Bela Lugosi's Dracula was one of my favorite. You know, he was very dark, and it was very sexy, you know. So Dracula's probably, you know, and Creature from the Black Lagoon when you're talking. So there's just all these different kind of categories, you know. Then of course you've got like Hitchcock kind of movies that are more like psychological than they are in your face, like The Last House on the Left, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm a person that I've been told, I don't know if it's true or not, but that I'm an intellectual horror fan, you know, and so I like color, and I like the music that goes along with like an Argento film, you know.
Yeah.
Italian horror films. I love the palettes of color, and then, you know, every time something, you know, really, you know, intense is going to happen, the music comes in. So, you know, and then that leads to like Argento kind of leads to like Tarantino's kind of style a bit, you know, when the music comes in, which I always kind of find interesting and creative.
Mm-hmm. I just thought of two more. Reanimator.
Yeah.
This Charlie Band movie that I've met. There's very few people I know who've seen it, called The Alchemist.
The Alchemist. Yeah, I think I've seen that. I've seen The Alchemist, but I don't know that it's in my top. It's in my top 10. I don't even know it's in my top 20, but it's a good one.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think you told me that before. I think that you and I have discussed that before, and that you're like, oh, I love that. I love that movie, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, you know what? Like, you know, horror fans, what's amazing about them is they're so loyal. And, you know, whether it's suspense like Jaws and kind of a psychological, you know, you da-da-da, you know, you hear this. or you like more of, gore or whatever you like. You like it for different reasons, obviously. So I think everybody's different, but there's a lot of elements that I like in each individual movie. Dawn of the Dead, amazing, amazing. There's just so many to name. There's so many to name. And there's, like the Halloween franchise with, Malika Cod. I worked with a director, Michael Kehoe, who did The Hatred with Malika Cod. And then Malik just came out with the new Halloween. John Carpenter did it. Fantastic, fantastic with Jamie Lee. And she just, she was amazing in it. So for me, each one of them bring their unique things to the table.
Absolutely. Did you ever have a crush on anyone in horror?
Like, did I ever have a crush on anyone in horror? Well, that's a loaded question. I mean, I've been around forever, darling. So could have been Dracula, Dracula over Frankie. I think back in the day, years and years and years ago, Ivonna's been around forever. Maybe it was Dracula.
Yeah.
Like Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Linnea Quigley was a big one for me.
Yeah?
And I've interviewed her twice. She interviewed me for her documentary. She's awesome.
Oh, yeah, there's so many, there's so many wonderful people in that genre. You just go to some of these conventions, I'll be at Monsterpalooza this year coming up in April. And, I've interviewed Sarah Karloff, and I've interviewed Amanda Wise, and I've interviewed, just the cream of the crop. And women in horror are just amazing, and they're it's never been bigger, it's never been better for them. So I'm a big advocate for women in horror. Jessica Cameron's amazing. She's done some amazing films, Truth or Dare, the original Truth or Dare that she did. She kind of likes to go into dark places that other people don't go, and I kind of admire that, So, and then, with American Horror Story and all the women in that, Kathy Bates and there's never been a better time for women in horror, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yes. Do you think that horror today has become too dark and serious, and it's not like fun like it used to be?
No, I don't think so at all. I think that it just depends on what. I just think it depends on what each individual kind of feels about horror. I mean, you've got gore, and you've got A Quiet Place, and you've got all these, you've got different categories now in horror. So I don't. For me personally, I don't believe it's become too dark. I think if anything, like with Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water winning an Oscar, I think that it's becoming more mainstream. And there's no coincidence that Halloween is largely becoming the number one holiday of the year. So no, not at all. I don't think that at all.
I personally think it has. I mean, when I finally get into the door and everything, I'm going to try to bring back the fun element of like 80s horror in movies, because that's what I miss nowadays. I mean, there's certain ones I've seen. Oh, sorry. There's certain ones I've seen that are fun, but I don't know. It's just not the same anymore, in my opinion.
Well, you should check out a new film by Todd Tucker, and it's called The Terror of Hallows Eve. And you can get it at Redbox and Amazon. You can also get it on their website. The Terror of Hallows Eve is kind of a throwback to the 80s, and all the characters and so forth. and John Carpenter actually scored the soundtrack for Todd's movie. And Todd is an amazing director and filmmaker, and I think that you would enjoy that very much. It kind of brings back the fun of the 80s, and hey, you know, John Carpenter is, you know, doing this fantastic soundtrack on it, and that's something that I think that you would thoroughly enjoy, and that might bring back some of the fun for you.
Huh. Yeah, because the last movie I saw that had 80s horror spirit in it was Beyond the Gates, the Jackson Stewart movie with Barbara Crampton.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Terror of Hallows Eve. You know, I work with Todd Tucker on certain things. I just shot the last few episodes of my show at Illusion Industries that's his studio, and The Terror of Hallows Eve is just that movie that just brings you back to the 80s, and in my opinion might become a cult classic, you know, for the people that like that. And there's no better way of representing that than having John Carpenter do the soundtrack for him. And he's got all these characters. Doug Jones plays the trickster, and Juliet Landau's in there, and Eric Roberts, and Annie McDowell, and Caleb Thomas plays Todd Tucker in this movie. So it's a great throwback to the 80s that's just done visually very, very well now.
Wow. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Which I was going to ask you, have you been in any movies?
I've not been in any movies. I mean, I've been approached to be in some movies, and I've not been in any movies. I've concentrated on highlighting the filmmakers themselves and their films, and, you know, of course, we're doing all new independent horror films now. Every once in a while, we'll do a throwback to, you know, the monster movies and things like that on U2 America. You know, U2 America is fantastic. They you know, on every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and in 211 markets on broadcast and cable, as well as on Roku, Apple TV, Xfinity, and Comcast. And it's fun to be able to bring all new independent films by these new independent filmmakers, you know. And so our first bunch of movies was with Big Biting Pig Productions. Our second go-around here will be with Elf Twins, who's David Rita. We all call him Zombie Dave. He's out of Los Angeles. And his movies are fun, and Big Biting Pig Productions movies were fun. But we'll continue to maybe, with these new independent films, we'll continue to find like the Roger Corman, you know, of the genre. So that's going to be a lot of fun for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I thought maybe you had been in movies and I just hadn't seen them, because every time I turn around nowadays, everybody's in movies that I haven't even seen or heard of, you know, because the independent movie market is just so weird now.
Yeah, I think that, you know, with OTT platforms now, and being like, you know, Amazon, Roku, Apple TV, now Disney has got their two platforms. I think with all these different platforms, I don't think there's been a better time for filmmakers to kind of be in the business. And I think that each individual filmmaker, I mean, whatever their you know, whatever they want to kind of display, or whatever their vision is, I support their vision. You know, I mean, hey, you know, some people are going to do their first film, and they're going to continue to evolve and get bigger and better. But I support all indie filmmakers, and there's never been a better time for it because of all the OTT platforms.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, I support it so much, because I mean it's I mean we're at a time now where just everybody's coming out of the woodwork being creative and stuff. I just hope something comes along where everybody can see everybody's work, and, you know, no one has to rely on, you know, distribution stuff, you know, and film festivals and all that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting, and I think it's already an interesting kind of shifts. With U2 America, like I said, I'm in 211 markets on broadcast and cable, which is on Spectrum and some other, I think it's Bright House and Spectrum and so forth. So I enjoy being on cable and broadcast, but I also thoroughly enjoy being on OTT, like the Roku and Xfinity and Roku and Comcast and Apple TV. This is the future. But I do enjoy both, and I enjoy the social media aspect of being able to reach out to the fans through social media and kind of engage with all three things. I think that that is a real plus, and I don't think anybody does it better than U2 America. Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. So how did you become Ivonna Cadaver, the host of Macabre Theater?
I actually it's a great story. I was just kind of haunting the streets one early evening, and I ran into Butch Patrick, who's Eddie Munster, from the famed television show The Munsters.
Right.
And Butch and I had very similar sensibilities, and we thought, well, why don't we do, we had an idea of doing a show where we would host the classics, and what better person to do it than Butch Patrick, in the dungeon, in Grandpa's dungeon. So that's kind of how it started off. Butch has done like 34 to 35 shows with me, and then I kind of went off, and I'm doing my thing, and he's doing his thing, but Butch and I talk constantly all the time. He's constantly on the road with the Munster Mobile, and God bless George Barris's soul. He passed on, but he was an innovator in cars, and so Butch goes around and he does all these great conventions, and he does all these things. So I've kind of taken the reins as far as doing all new independent horror films, and but having shot with Butch and having done 35 shows with him, thereabouts 34, 35 shows with him, we just had the same sensibility, and we thought, hey, what's better than having Butch Patrick, Eddie Munster, and Grandpa's Dungeon doing, hosting these movies, and then having a sultry sidekick, which then became myself, Ivonna Cadaver. It became more than just a sultry sidekick. It became, we became kind of synonymous with one another. So that was fun. And now, again, as I just said, being able to bring a new flavor, with all new independent horror films by new filmmakers, and supporting indie film. I always say #support indie film, and horror films, and sci-fi films, and thrillers. So Butch and I started the show together, and then it kind of evolved into what it is today.
Did you guys start doing it through cable access or UHF stations?
No, we did not. We actually launched the show on KDOC, which is KDOC is channel 56 out of Los Angeles. We got picked up by KDOC channel 56, and their idea was to kind of do what other, like Vampira and Elvira had done, and that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to launch it out of the actual station. And so no, we were never on that. We launched on KDOC channel 56, the biggest independent in LA, and then in 2005 we went national. We did a three show test internationally, which went fabulous. And then I kind of started, after you do about 53 shows, you decide, for me anyway, I decided that was a successful amount of shows in my mind. I think the Munsters did like 51 shows, I believe. So in my mind, I felt that was a great kind of accomplishment and a number. So then I wanted to kind of concentrate on the branding of the character. So I started doing things like Not Scary Farm makeover, and traveling the country and doing different. I do rock festivals, Mayhem. I was just at NAMM, and I wanted to concentrate on the branding of the character. So that's been very good. And now, being with U2 America, it's wonderful because they're the first social interactive network, and so we have we have cable broadcast, we have OTT, and we have social media. And I love to connect with the fans on social media. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. So did the show have trouble getting sold at first, or did it get sold because of Butch Patrick's name?
It wasn't. I think that. That all depends on what you call difficult. I think that I don't feel that I feel that it was a lot of hard work, but I think that anything that is going to be successful is a lot of hard work. So I didn't find it difficult. I found it grinding. I found it a lot of work. But anything that is going to be successful, like I said, is a lot of hard work. You've got to put the time in. And so naturally, I feel like we fell right into place as far as how long it took to get on air on KDOC and then go national. I feel very fortunate and grateful that we were able to do what we did.
So, in other words, they did the station did want a horror show.
I think, well, sure, because they put it on, So they were very interested in what we had and what I created, and they were very interested in that, and they thought, well, it's time. This hasn't been a show like this hasn't been on the air for 20, 25 years, and so there it began, in KDOC, and then 2005 it went national, and the rest is, as they say, kind of history. And again, I'm so excited to be able to bring to the horror community all new independent shows on U2 America.
And what was the first movie you showed?
The classic Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. So that was the first one that we did, and it's just a consummate zombie movie that's just spot on and amazing, and that's the first one that we did. So we paid an homage to the very best, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. You started off showing mostly public domain horror films.
We did. We had a couple or a few that weren't public domain that showed that we kind of deal with, but most of them were public domain, and the great ones, the fun ones that everybody loves, and still do to this day. There's a huge community that loves these. I love them. I'm a huge fan of all the Universal monster movies, and I've done lots of things with Universal Studios. We just covered the Halloween Horror Nights by covering a lot of the footage that this past Halloween Horror Nights, this past October. We just put a package together and we showcase that on the show, and so it's always Universal to me is the monster makers. They started it, and then of course I would always handle the DVD releases by them, whether it was a James Gunn or name it. I've covered Sony, I've covered Paramount Pictures, I've covered Universal Studios, with all their DVD releases and also their red carpet releases for their new shows for their new movies coming out.
Yeah, it's funny when Joe Bob Briggs went from the movie channel to TNT Monster Vision, he couldn't show the 1930s Universal horror movies because they didn't think that the audience would watch them, yet they own the rights to them.
Oh, that's so funny. But people really love them. They just love them. And a great friend of mine, Scott Essman, is I worked with Scott Essman, Visionary Media, for many, many years, and he has always been a huge proponent of Universal monster movies and Jack Pierce and his makeup, and so there's nothing like those Universal horror movies, nothing like them. But you've got Night of the Living Dead, and you've got the list goes on and on and on. I mean, the one thing that I did do is I brought some new. I brought some like Argento films that had never been seen on broadcast. So I brought a new kind of flavor to it. Deep Red was on, and Unsane was on, and some other films that had never been seen on broadcast before. And so, like in the 1960s and 70s, and I think we did some 80s, but 60s and 70s, so we had the old PD movies, and then we had some of the Argento films and things like that. And I'm a big one for, as I said, I'm a big proponent of palettes of color and music that's going to kind of announce something crazy is about to happen. And Argento, the Italian horror films were masterful at that.
Mm-hmm. How long was it before your following went from small to big?
Well, interestingly enough, it happened pretty quickly, and I don't, small to big, it's all relative. I just know that the audience in Los Angeles took to the show very quickly with Butch and I. They took to it very quickly because they were missing it, So they took to it very quickly, to my surprise, and I felt very grateful for that. And I was a little surprised by that, but big is all relative. I think I mean, success. I think that we released the show on KDOC, and it immediately, we were doing VOC Weekly and the LA Weekly on a local level, and I think I was a bit surprised by that, but it was wonderful, and all the recognition should go to the fans, the fans of this genre.
Mm-hmm. Do you think is it your goal to be syndicated worldwide on the same level as like Svengoolie?
I think that my goal right now is to just keep entertaining the fans, entertaining the viewers, as we roll out with new independent films. I think that that's the time we're in. We'll bring a whole new audience to this, as well as we'll have our base audience. And as far as worldwide, I think that the natural progression of this will go worldwide. I'm so pleased for Svengoolie and him being on MeTV, and he's fun, and I think that the natural progression will be worldwide. But for me, it's more just being of service to the fans, to celebrate the fans, and to celebrate the viewers, and to the thing for me is I've never worked with a better network before, as far as U2 America. U2 America is so supportive, and they're amazing. They're 147 million households. They are supportive, and they are wonderful. So as far as, is it my goal to be worldwide? It's really my goal to entertain the audience, to entertain the viewers, and to celebrate them. And if that means that we go worldwide, that's then that's what that means.
Awesome. Yeah, it's all about entertaining and then, not worrying about analytics.
Right. I really just love. I love the fans. I love the viewers. I love to entertain them. At the end of the day, it's about them and listening to what they like and what they want. I'm eternally grateful for how supportive they've been.
Mm-hmm. When did you start doing conventions?
Butch and I started doing conventions kind of right off the bat. One of the first things that I did was, I did Freddy versus Jason. They were at the Wax Museum, and that was a real big deal with Sony, I believe. It was Sony, and that was a big deal. And then we started doing conventions pretty much right away. We wanted to reach out to the fans, and we wanted to reach out to the viewers and our friends. I like to call the fans friends. That was a lot of fun. Butch was the consummate pro, and amazing. I'm always proud of what Butch does. And so, I just would always just love, watching Butch kind of do his craft in anything that he did, whether he was on the show, whether he was at conventions and things like that. And we started doing those. We started doing those right away.
Mm-hmm.
That was like in 2003, 2004. We started doing those, and then there was this time. We just concentrated solely on production, and then I concentrated after I felt like 51, 52 shows was for me. Just for me, I felt like it was successful for me, and then I wanted to concentrate on the branding of the character and the branding of the character. So I started doing a lot of shows like Not Scary Farm and Cares, and there was a Guavaween in Tampa, Florida. That was a lot of fun, and just things of that nature. So there's just been some fun events in addition to the conventions. I love to go to the conventions. Like I said, I'll be at Monsterpalooza this year,
Yep.
and but I also like to engage. I like to do contests and bring people in because I like to give them experiences that otherwise they wouldn't have. Do contests and fly them in, whoever the winner is, and have them have an experience that they otherwise wouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. I'll be hanging out at Monsterpalooza too this year.
Well, good. It'd be good to see you.
Yeah, I was there 2 years ago when you were there, but my older brother was with me, and he was drunk the entire weekend. I had to babysit him, and there's a lot of people I did not meet. There was a lot of people I did meet, but a lot of people I didn't, and you were one of them, and that's why I didn't get to meet you 2 years ago.
Well, I will look forward to meeting you, coming up here in very shortly,
Mm-hmm. I want to host panels so badly at conventions, but the celebrity ones, and I'm very critical of the panels I see at cons a lot of the time. The hosts are just so dense. They look like they don't want to be there. They're just reading off of paper. They have no personality. They don't engage with the guests or the crowd. Particularly at this one convention I go to that I won't say the name of here in California, they hire people who I guess work at the convention center or what have you to host panels, and I'm just like, God, guys, you're doing it wrong. It's like I've talked to the celebrities who do these panels and stuff, and they don't like doing the panels at that particular convention,
Right. I think it's an important thing to really be invested in if I moderate a panel, I like to be very invested in the attendees because, not just ask them the normal questions. And I'm not, in any way, I'm not saying that, there's a bad one or a good moderator or a bad moderator. But just for me, just for me, in my experience, I like to be very well versed on all things that they like. Like Lance Henriksen, for instance. He is a man that has done a lot of Bigfoot movies and a lot of big movies, and then he also is into pottery, and he's got this amazing pottery. So I think those extra little things that you know about them, and you do your homework on them, they appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm a stand-up comedian, and that would be just perfect for me to host panels. I almost was going to host panel at this film festival that's going to be coming up in the Bay Area soon. I had to go to this orientation, and I wasn't able to go. And then I found out I would have had to have auditioned to host a panel and stuff, which means I probably had to be politically correct and stuff, and I'm not politically correct at all.
I think that you are a gentleman, and I think you're pretty politically correct. I mean, you're professional, and I think that you are as well invested in the well-being of the guests, it sounds like. So I don't know that I would say that you're not politically correct, but I don't know.
I am a gentleman, yes, but there's episodes of this podcast where I just say every four-letter word in the book, and I get politically incorrect and stuff. In fact,
Right.
my next question was actually going to be politically incorrect.
Well, go for it. Let's see what you got, baby.
I ask every horror host this question. Ivonna, what does your belly button smell like?
It smells like sweet roses, honey.
Ooh, sweet roses.
Yeah.
Wow.
It smells like sweet roses.
Mine smells like a pterodactyl's toe jam.
Awesome. Because that's horror.
Yes. Because I have an Audi.
I'm like, because that is horror,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think that's politically incorrect. I think that's just funny. So there you go.
Okay. Do you have any episodes of the show coming up this week?
Well, yeah, we're currently, I did 7 new episodes with Big Biting Pig Productions. We did Frankenstein, Maniac on the Loose, The Caretakers, Hellas Bull, Spirit Stalkers, and the whole thing goes on and on. So we're rerunning those right now. And then in March, we've got some new episodes coming up with Elf Twins Productions. And again, that's with a great friend of mine, David Rita, who is like a darling of the film festivals. He always does so fantastic in the film festivals, and he's fun on camera. I just interviewed him at NAMM, and he's fun on camera. And but we'll be showcasing his movies in March, and then we continue right now with Big Biting Pig Productions, and I live tweet every Saturday night with the viewers and the fans. U2 America joins in because they're so supportive, and we'll continue to kind of meld some of the classics that I just love, in with the all new independent horror films, sci-fi, and thriller films from all new independent horror filmmakers. And some have done, like Big Biting Pig Productions. They've been very proactive in making films. David Rita's films are fantastic, and they're fun, and Brooke Lewis was in his last one, and she's fantastic. Brooke is a doll baby. She's a scream queen, but she's an actor, and she's amazing. So she'll be in one of these as well. And we'll do interviews with in the episodes. We'll have interviews with Brooke and with David and his bands and things like that. So how we weave different different interviews and things in between. Our vignettes and our interstitials are going to cover interviews with David and Brooke and a big studio release, I'm sure, as well as show his amazing fun films that he's got. His films are always about the monsters that get the girl. So, because the monsters never get the girl like in the Universal films. But in his films, the monsters usually get the girl. So that's kind of a nice twist. Big Biting Pig Productions, they have really kind of coined their movies by having kind of subplots and little twists at the end, so which is kind of fun. Lots of
Are there any movies that you've wanted to show that you haven't been able to?
No, actually. I've done tons of the public domain films, and now that I'm doing all new independent films, we have so many independent filmmakers that would like to have their film shown on Macabre Theater on U2 America. So it's just now a matter of showcasing them and supporting them, and so I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. So aside from Monsterpalooza, are there any other convention appearances coming up you want to plug?
No. Monsterpalooza, I'm doing a huge giveaway with them. So the giveaway is that you can go to macabretheater.com and you can enter. I think it's at the bottom of the page. You can enter to win. It's going to be a random draw. You can enter to win anywhere in the country. Hopefully they're from California. No, I'm kidding. But you can enter to win, and it's flights. The winner gets to go with a guest, and they get flown into Los Angeles, California. They get to attend the Monsterpalooza convention with me, and then they also are going to stay at Dean Carr's, who's a huge music director, and he's got what we call Castle Carr is the name of his house. It's in the Hollywood Hills, and the winners of this will actually be staying at his place. And he's done every rock video you can imagine, whether it's Ozzy Osbourne, Iron Maiden, whether it's Mudvayne, whether it's Hell Yeah, whether it's Korn. He's done every music video you can imagine, but his house is like a rock museum. So my winners will be staying, my winner with the winner's guests will be staying at Castle Carr, and then they'll go to the convention with me. And then at the end of it, on Sunday, they will be going to Todd Tucker's studio at Illusion Industry for a special screening of The Terror of Hallows Eve. That's the one I talked to you about. It's like a throwback to the 80s, which I just think you're going to love. So it's a very big giveaway, and I'm really concentrating on that. And Elliot Brodsky, who runs Monsterpalooza, in my opinion, it's probably just one of the best monster conventions in the world.
Yes, it is.
After that, I'm just concentrating on all new independent horror movies and scary films and scary movies to put on U2 America. And as I said, U2 America is so supportive. And, the First Social Interactive Network, they've got what's called it's the U2 America Club, and it's go.u2america.com to join the club, and you get all, behind the scenes and things that you don't get to see on my show, you get to see on there. So all anybody has to do is put in the code Ivonna, IVONNA, and they get to see things that they don't get to see on the show. So it's just extra behind the scenes and fun things like that. But as far as conventions, we'll be rolling out with all of our new conventions. You'll be able to find them on macabretheater.com. The first one will be Monsterpalooza, and we're getting ready to do a press tour. So So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Monsterpalooza is the best. I don't have as much fun when I go to other horror cons. I just love it there.
Yeah, Monsterpalooza is an amazing thing, and I think that each horror con brings their own, their own thing. But what I love about Elliot, and I'm saying that each convention, they've always got great guests, and I applaud anybody that's trying to do anything and trying to be supportive in the horror genre and the sci-fi and horror and thriller genre. What I love about Monsterpalooza is Elliot is a true fan of the genre, and he just, as a kid, he grew up and he loved it. And so what he did, instead of making films, is he created this convention to where he gets to bring all of his friends, Rick Baker and Todd Tucker, and he gets to bring all these amazing displays from the movies and things like that, as well as the best celebrities in the genre. So I applaud Elliot for really taking it to the next level.
Yeah, I just enjoy it every year and stuff. I love it when it's in Pasadena. I don't like the Burbank one as much because there's no elbow room in there.
Yeah, there's so many people in there, and it's the son of Monsterpalooza, and then in April it's the big Monsterpalooza. So I think that that's a smart thing to do. It kind of gets everybody kind of geared up for Monsterpalooza, and it also brings the fans out and gives them something to kind of chew on, because it's in October. So I think it's a great thing to do. What Elliot's done is a great thing.
Oh my God! What 2 years ago when I was there last? Oh my God! It was fucking insane. I mean, everybody was there to meet Robert Englund, and just the fire marshals were just throwing their hair out, hoping that no fire codes are being violated with all those people there.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Monsterpalooza fell down in a hot minute, and I remember when Robert was there. I worked with Robert a couple of times. We actually did the Jason. It was Freddy versus Jason for Sony at the Wax Museum. That's the first time I met Robert. Robert is an intellectual. He's very intellectual man, and he's a gentleman, and he's fabulous. And so it was nice to see him at Monsterpalooza.
Yeah, I met him in Sacramento last year. He was a lot of fun, and all the fans were just in awe of him.
Yeah, they are. He's the original, and he's just like I said, he's an intellectual, and I've had the great opportunity to have worked with him a couple times. So I was with him at the Catalina Film Festival a couple of years ago. I think it was a couple of years ago, and I was representing the movie Hush, which was Michael Kehoe and Malika Cod, the owner of Halloween, the Halloween franchise. I was representing Hatred, and at that time it wasn't called Hatred; it was called Hush.
Yeah,
it was just a short, and then they took this short and they expanded it. And Michael G. Kehoe's gone on to do great things, and of course Malik just got done doing the epic Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter. So you can't get any better than that,
Yeah. Who have you met in horror that you just was absolutely surprised by how great they were?
With the question again, I'm so sorry.
Who have you met in horror that you were just so surprised that they were just so nice?
Oh, I mean, it's a tough one because most of the people that I've met have been amazing. I mean, I think if you are invested in them and you do your homework on them, and it's not just being a fan of horror. If you are invested in them, they can feel that. They know that, and so most of the people, I can't think of anybody that I've not interviewed or not, whether it was John Landis, whether it was Robert Englund, Ken Kersinger, whether it was Rick Baker, whether it's Todd Tucker, whether it's there's just Andy Serkis from Peter Jackson's King Kong, and they've all been very, very kind and very good at their craft. So there's not anybody that I say, one was better than the other. They're all equally great in their own way.
Mm-hmm. I've been so lucky with the ones I've gotten on this podcast. There's so many great ones. Linnea Quigley, Dee Wallace. Oh my God.
Oh, Dee, she's fabulous. Dee Wallace is one of the. She's so sweet. We did a convention together, myself, Butch, and Dee, and she's just a good person. She's a good person, and she's a fabulous actor.
Oh,
so Dee is amazing.
Yeah, great sense of humor too. I told her a dirty joke.
Yes.
And stuff. She liked it.
Yeah, she's funny and she's fun and she's sassy and cute. She's cute. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Here's a dirty joke for you.
Sure. Bring
it. Cinderella is about to go to the ball and she's on her period, and so the fairy godmother gives her these magic tampons and says, "Okay, you can go to the ball, but you have to be home by midnight or else they'll turn into a pumpkin." She's like, "Okay, fairy godmother, I will." So 12:30 rolls around. Cinderella has not shown up. Fairy godmother is pacing around the house angry, and then she finally does show up at 4 a.m., stumbling drunk. And fairy godmother is like, "Where were you? You were supposed to be home at 12. And Cinderella's like, "I'm so sorry, fairy godmother. I met this great guy, and we danced all night. His name was Peter Peter."
Peter, okay. Well, I think that's where that political incorrectness comes in, but
yeah.
I applaud you in going for
it. You're so intellectual.
Oh, yes, darling. Yes, darling.
Well, Ivonna, I'm so glad we got to do this.
I am too. It's my absolute pleasure, and I just applaud everything that you're doing. And you and I've talked before, and you really want to moderate these panels and things like that. And I just I applaud you, and I just support you in all that. So I appreciate you having me on. I just want to remind everybody that U2 America is I'm on at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in 211 markets. If you want to find out where to go to find it, just go to macabretheater.com and look for where to find us. And also, it's on Roku. Just download the Roku app and download the U2 America app off of Roku to get the show. And it's on Apple TV, it's on Comcast, and much more to come. But every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on U2 America, and we're going to keep bringing all new independent scary movies that I know that you guys will like. And again, I live tweet every Saturday night, unless I've got an event going on, like I did at NAMM. I had this big, I had the biggest music convention, the biggest music convention in the world this weekend in Anaheim, California. Unless I'm doing something like that, I'm always sharing pictures with it. But I love to live tweet with the viewers and the fans and engage with them, and I'm very grateful for everybody that supports.
Mm-hmm. And this spring, I will be filming my horror show pilot, and I getting some friends together to do it and stuff. And I'll send it.
I can't wait to see it.
Yes, I will send it to you. And
great.
It's going to be pretty awesome. I can't wait. But
well, I can't wait to see it. And I do want to tell people that remember to, if they can't get it on Roku and they can't get it on Apple TV, they can't get it on U2 America, we're on demand. But just go to, it's go.u2america.com. And You can get it online. You can stream it on any device, and put in the code word Ivonna and get the first 30 days for free. And then remember, after that, you get it for the first 30 days for free, and just live tweet with me, because we always have a blast. We always have fun,
Yes. Awesome. Well, Ivonna, thank you so much. You've been so sweet, and this has been a lot of fun. And I'll see you in April, and I hope you have some great episodes coming up and stuff. I'll watch out for them, and I hope you have a great day.
All right, I appreciate it, and stay creepy.
I will. In fact, after I hang up, I'm going to play with myself.
Well, again, there's that. I wouldn't say that's politically incorrect. I'd say it's more irreverent than anything. So you do what you got to do. Hey, I'm not condoning. I'm not condoning. I'm saying, Tommy, you go do what you got to do, honey.
I sure will. Thank you, hon.
All right.
Okay. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right. You as well. Have a creepy night.
I will.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Ivonna Cadaver. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Ivonna. You're one of the great ones and one of the good ones in horror. And I can't wait to be part of the horror community / peer club eventually in the future. And I'm so glad that you support me. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes!